Over at a booth is called, what is this? Neptune's Harvest Organic Fertilizers. And we're out of, how you say that?
Gloucester,
Gloucester? Is that Massachusetts or is that Maine?
Massachusetts.
All right, and this is Sandy Parko?
Correct.
All right. So after this guy, it never fails. Whenever you got to do a video, you got somebody, some background noise, whatever. But after this person gets finished telling us what's going to happen, I'm going to ask the gentleman here about organic fertilizers, natural organic fertilizers, why people are shifting over to it now, what's the benefits of it, and why you want to consider possibly utilizing organic Neptune's Harvest all natural organic fertilizers. So give a little bit of background, Sandy, about how you got started or just what's the deal with organic fertilizers.
I was telling you a little earlier. My father and my uncle came up with the idea to do this. So they bought this machine from Europe, brought it in, and my father called me in the office, says, "We got this little thing we're going to do. All you have to do in the morning is go and turn the key and it'll run itself." Well, not quite. I like a challenge, so I said I'll do it. So after 3.5 months of 12 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week, the name tag came off my uniform and went on the machine. At that point, it was more mine than theirs.
Right.
And that was in '86, and we started commercially. And commercial now is throughout the U.S., Canada, Mexico, Greece, Africa,
Wow.
Vietnam. We've even sold into China.
So you say you sell into Mexico?
Correct.
Yeah, Shelly, she's from Mexico. She's a dentist in outside northern TJ. So we're also considering some ranch stuff up in out near Tecate. So this is really interesting. Continue. Excuse for not upsetting, for interrupting you.
I'm used to that. I'm married.
Oh, listen to you. So that's when Organic Neptune was born, or how did that come about?
That came about. Back then, it came up with a name, and I guess I came up with the name actually, and my father approved it.
Nice.
And we went with that. Retail, we started about '92. Had some demand for it, so we started with just the fish, then came up with the fish seaweed blend, and because we had the seaweed in to make the blend, we sell the straight seaweed too. From there, the line has been increasing through the years. There's your blend there, your seaweed there, your fish there. Then we went with...
Sandy, come on over. Show me what you're talking about. Yeah, get up on out of that chair, brother. So which one was the first one you started with?
First one we started with was the fish.
Now, what's so beneficial about this fish deal? Because
Okay.
I know that there's another company that sells their fish fertilizer. I use that quite a bit when I used to live up in Seattle, and every now and then I use it. And you was telling me about the process of how you make it.
Okay, well, the product that you've probably used in California is Alaska fish fertilizer, okay? And at the time, that was the only type of fish fertilizer out there. Since then, we came up with this fish protein hydrolysis. So where a fish emulsion will cook the fish, take the solids out as fish meal, spin off the oils, and the wastewater that was left is what they condensed down to give you a fertilizer. Very odorous, very thick and molasses.
Wow.
Our product is more the consistency of chocolate milk. We use no temperature in our production. It's a totally cold process. So we're protecting your vitamins, amino acids, enzymes, growth hormones. Everything that was good about the fish is in our product. And because we don't cook it, we're protecting all of those. And we're the only company that has learned how to protect them without killing the enzymes, which is what they do by putting the heat to it.
Okay.
So it's got the proteins, it's got the oils, that's all retained in the product. We don't remove any of that. The only thing we use is the fish after the fillet has been removed. So we're not killing fish just to make a fertilizer. We're taking a waste product from the fish industry and turning it into something valuable.
So sustainability in action.
Correct.
Interesting.
the fish waste, they had to dump it at sea for a while, and it created dead zones on the ocean because it sucked the oxygen out of the water.
Wow.
Any fish coming in would kill them. So they were looking to come up with a different solution, and this was the solution that the government and the University of Massachusetts came up with, that we followed through with.
Nice. Now, what's the benefit? I mean, how is this fish fertilizer really beneficial? Because I've used it, and I know like years and years ago, the Indians used to throw a fish off into the ground when they put planting corn or stuff like that. So what's the actual...
I'm going to correct that story before you even ask another
Well,
question.
I mean, that's what I thought. I mean, that's what
And everybody was taught
an Indian threw a fish in there, man, and the corn would grew
I
better.
was taking some courses up at Salem State. It's now Salem State University. And I was up in the library, and I was reading some history on that.
Yeah?
The true story is that the Indian that told that story to the Pilgrims was taken back on the Mayflower and visited Europe. And it was somewhere either in Germany or in France that he saw the farmers throwing their scraps of fish into the garden. So when he came back,
He started doing that, huh?
no, he told the Pilgrims, why are you throwing that away? Put it in your garden. So yes, it was an Indian that taught the Pilgrims how to plant with fish, but it wasn't a...
Because it wasn't an original thought of art.
Indians didn't waste fish. They used everything. You know, just take the bones and bang them up and make it into a flour.
So that, wow.
You know, it's only white people that are wasteful like that.
You hear that? You hear that? You come to your landscaping coach and you learn more about history than you could ever imagine. So that's why I say tune in and subscribe and hit that notification bell, because you never know what's going to come up.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. All right, so you morphed away from the other fertilizer here, the fish fertilizer.
Different ones.
Okay.
The fish seaweed blend. We took our fish and mixed it with the seaweed, and it would basically, for the concentration that's in that, you would need 3 parts fish and 2 parts of the seaweed to equal what's in 4 parts of that. So
Wow.
it's a more concentrated form. Seaweed we came up with because there was a demand for it, plus we had it anyway, so we added a 3rd line to the product.
Interesting.
Then we get more complicated.
What's this tomato veggie stuff over here? You got a lot of people that have their own vegetable gardens and
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Now, the tomato and veg and the rose and flowering, similar ingredients, different proportions. Now, contrary to what people might think from the labeling, the tomato and veg is basically stem growth, leaf growth, root growth, okay? But if you're growing turnips, carrots, beets, lettuce, you don't want those to flower, so you would stay with the tomato veg. But when your plants go into a flowering stage, like tomatoes, cucumbers, or fruit trees even, you'll get more flower bud production, thus more produce and fruit.
So what, that has more potassium and phosphate in it or something like that? Or
Potassium.
more potassium in it.
Yeah.
And that's the your rose and flower.
Most phosphorus in it, actually.
Nice.
It does have more potassium too, but
So for structural growth and leaf growth, you want, or is the tomato veg
you
is kind of like
start
to
off
do it.
with that and then transition into the rose and flowering for flower bud production.
Nice.
Now, both of them have fish, seaweed, molasses, yucca extract, humic acid, liquid calcium, and a biological. And that liquid calcium is actually in the form of calcium acetate, which is the form that plants more readily are able to absorb calcium.
Now, so is that one reason why it's better to go with more of a natural, organic type of fertilizer rather than going to a big box and buying a bunch of synthetic stuff and pitching it down?
It kind of touches on that to some point. But basically, the organics will actually build the sugars in your plant. Sugars will help keep insects away. Insects don't digest sugars well. So you'd want to do that for that. But the true thing is it enhances the flavor of what you're growing. It doesn't put the pressure that synthetic fertilizers put on the soil food web that's in the soil.
Right.
It actually feeds that biology in the soil versus killing it. An example of that is during World War II, they used nitrogen-based fertilizers to spray into the ground to make runways because it killed the biology in the soil.
Oh, wow.
It's a little bit contractual of what you might think.
Wow.
While where the organics feed that soil, the chemicals actually hurt that biology that's in there. So you've got to be careful if you're using chemicals.
So a chemical that would have that kind of residual, is that something that a lot of people use that they can buy off the store shelves nowadays? Not to go into a name of it, but is that something that happens more so now, you think? That people are spraying stuff and using things that subside in the soil a lot longer? That
Well,
kill off
they're
the
getting
biologicals?
away from the chemicals. Okay, more and more people are going into the organics.
Okay.
Okay, and I'd say it isn't doubling; it's growing geometrically every year. Where you went into a grocery store, say 20 years ago, you had one tiny section of organics. Now you go in there and you got huge sections of organic foods.
Right, right.
So it's just growing and growing and growing.
Now, will people be able to find these products mostly online or at specialty nurseries, or how?
Well, we sell mostly through garden centers versus the big box stores. Okay.
Okay.
Mostly mom and pop stores around the country. We sell through distribution, and we do have our own online website that people can buy from. And other people have it online, but that could be changing a little bit.
Now, you said you have a presence in Canada.
Correct.
And what about in Australia?
We have a company that we sell to that makes a turf product that they sell into Australia.
Because we have a lot of viewers that are from those two countries, from Australia and also from Canada. So for you folks in Canada and for you folks in Australia, we're going to put a link in there where you can find out a little bit more so you can be able to get a hold of some of these products and try them out. But what's this this crab and lobster shell stuff back here? What is
Okay.
this?
Well, the crab and lobster shell is high calcium. It's also high in a substance called chitin.
Chitin.
And that chitin will feed the biology in the soil, which is a chitin-eating bacillus. Like a fly, they regurgitate their stomach acids onto the food, pre-digest it, and suck it back in. Well, they don't get it all back. So things like the eggs of nematodes, the exoskeletons of fungus, the Japanese beetle grub, even ants, they're chitin-based, and they come in contact with this chitinase that the chitin-eating bacillus excrete, and it sets them up for infection, loss of moisture, broken limbs, broken jaw.
Wow.
You ever see an area get a lot of ant mounds?
Yeah.
In one place.
Place at my house.
A huge net down there, right? 2, maybe 3 applications of the crab shell, you'll wipe it out.
So if you put that around in a garden where you have a lot of ants, that'll help reduce the amount of ants in the area?
Because the ants will take it, and because there's still proteins from the crab and lobster that went in, that weren't cleaned up from getting the shell.
Wow.
They bring it down into the nest with them, little realizing they're bringing their own demise.
Wow. So you know what? By checking out this live video, you're learning right now, if you have a bunch of ants and stuff like that that are invading your garden, that if you utilize this all natural organic Neptune's Harvest crab and lobster shell product and you put it down in your garden, those ants are going to take it down into the nest. From what I understand from Sal, they're going to take this down into the nest, and then what's going to happen is they're going to end up killing themselves off because of the enzymes and stuff that's in here in these oyster shells. So this is a key, and it's a really nice product to know about and to be able to get a hold of, because I know everybody's probably has some issue of ants somewhere at their home or especially in the garden, but we're talking gardening stuff here. So this is going to be great. What's this kelp mill?
But let me tell you one more thing about the crab and lobster.
Okay.
If you're putting bulbs into the ground, You mix that in the soil around the bulbs.
Uh-huh.
It will discourage moles, voles, chipmunks, squirrels from tunneling in and eating it because it'll scratch them and they'll go in a different direction. So it has a multi-purpose. Plus, it gives those bulbs the calcium that they need to grow.
Interesting. You said something about moles and voles. Now, could that be used as a deterrent for? Because the big issue that I have a lot of viewers that they have is with gophers and moles or voles. So there's one friend of mine that's a soil scientist that she developed a product that's basically a food-based polymer that when you put it in a hole and it has some compost in it, when it hydrates, it swells up. And so the gopher cannot maneuver through the tunnel because it gets the gel on its pelt. So it basically avoids the area. And then the organic compost helps the roots to revive itself and to regrow. So is something like that crab and lobster shell something that could be utilized in unison with that gel? Or is that something that could be used as a standalone to help keep gulls or mofers out of an area? Or could that be used at all?
I'm not familiar with that person's product, but it sounds like it has promise. But this works as a deterrent more than hurting those critters.
Right. Well, that's the thing that we want more is a deterrent.
Yeah.
Like go to somebody else's yard and stay out of mine, or stay out of my garden and go to somebody else's.
It isn't that it's something that's going to
Deter them?
deter them as much as it'll scratch them because you're dealing with a physical piece of shell.
Oh.
It'll scratch them. They
So-
don't like that, so they'll go in a different direction. They
So-
won't even find your bulb.
So in essence, I mean, but I'm thinking about like a 1 gallon plant. So you're telling me like if I utilize some of this and sprinkle it around the root ball of the plant, that the possibilities will be pretty likely that they won't come in to try to eat that root because they'll scratch themselves up trying to get to the root ball, right?
Yeah, but you don't put it just on the surface. When you're
No,
putting that bulb into
that's
the
what-
ground,
that's what I'm talking
you wanna
about.
Mix it in around with the soil that you
Because that's how I think I'm going to experiment with that. I'm going to get some of this product. I'm going to experiment with incorporating it within the soil mix when we put the plants in the ground. I have a client right now that she's going crazy because a lot of her prized plants, these are like California natives and drought tolerance. The gophers are just giving her havoc because there's a lot of them in the area. I think they have like a expressway and a hotel under her property. But so I'm gonna get some of that myself, and we're gonna trial it out, and then I'll let you know over time. I have a couple clients that have a really, really serious gopher problem, and we'll see what happens on that. What's this kelp meal? Tell me about the kelp meal.
Meal is a slow-release micronutrient fertilizer. It's from Ascrophyllum nodosum, which is the kelp. If you've ever been around the beaches in the Northeast, it has like little air bladders, so it kind of floats. When they go in to harvest it, they don't rip it out. They use it gives it a haircut. They use special rakes with a knife in it. So they harvest it that way. They go back 3 years later, and it'll have grown back, and they can harvest it again. So in other words, they're not ripping out the roots and killing it. They're being very conservative, and we look for conservative products.
Right.
To protect the environment too. So it's got a lot of micronutrients. You can look them up online, and that helps with it. I mean, the liquid seaweed and this are from the same kelp, but this goes through a potassium hydroxide extraction, which breaks it down, rendering it into a liquid.
Now, one product that I use is called Cytogrow. It's through companies that's based here in Orlando, Ocala, Florida, and they use a kelp that comes out of the sea. I think it's called the Sea of the Bay of Fundy. That's up in your territory. And supposedly that kelp or that seaweed that comes out of there is some of the best because of the extreme tide action that it has, the extremes in heat and extremes in cold. You know very much about that?
Absolutely. That's the kelp that we're using. We get it from 3 sources because we sell so much of it, we can't get enough.
Wow.
We get it out of Iceland, we get it out of Canada, and we get it off the coast of Maine. So 3 companies we work with that get us that product.
See you Canadians up there that are viewers. they get product from up in your territory, so they're helping to sustain the economy up there in Canada. But yeah, this one product that I use in California, they had to relabel it. It's called Sea Extra, but elsewhere in the United States and also around the world, it's known as Cytogrow. And what that kelp does is crazy. I mean, it has some other biostimulants in it. I'll put a plant in a 1 gallon, and that plant will triple in size within like 3 or 4 months. I have 3 jobs that I did, landscape construction on our installations, and each one of those jobs we won first place. And I normally don't enter my jobs the first year. I usually enter them after the second year when they kind of grow in. But these properties have been looking so great after initial installations from using that product because it increases the root growth exponentially, that it's just incredible. So it's really nice to know about this kelp meal. How would you use that? If you're using it straight like this, would you use it like a teaspoon, tablespoon? It all depends.
Just mix it in the soil.
How often?
Well, you do it in the spring, you can do it in the fall.
Nice.
You know, the liquid you could use during the season while the plant's growing, but you don't want to disturb the plant during the summer. So, you know, if you have to do it in this summertime through the growing season, just rake it into the top inch or 2 of soil.
Nice.
You know, it'll absorb moisture, so it'll help hold moisture in the soil too.
Ooh, that's a key point. That's a key point because our way, you know, moisture retention, because another product they use is called Hydratane, and it's basically, it kind of converts the water vapor in the soil matrix over to usable water. So it converts the water vapor over into usable water for the root zone. So knowing that this particular product also helps from the standpoint of helping keep the plants, the roots hydrated, that's another key bonus with that besides the nutritional aspects. You got a couple other products that I'm going to call it a wrap on this. And we got one that's called Lawn Starter and the other one is Turf Formula. So what's up with this?
Well, the Lawn Starter was the original formula, okay? It has phosphoric acid in it as a stabilizer. And then you have the Turf Formula, which has citric acid in it as a stabilizer. A lot of the states in the United States require that you don't use phosphorus around waterways or very lightly because of rivers, creeks, ponds, even the ocean. They're afraid of what do they call the algae blooms.
Right.
You know, so keep the phosphorus away, you're going to help hold that down. Now, both have the same exact ingredients as the tomato, veg, rose, and flowering, obviously different proportions to tailor to what you're growing. Again, fish, seaweed, molasses, sugar extract, pubic acid, liquid calcium, and a biological. Now, the only difference in these is one has citric, one has phosphorus. Now, the Lawn Starter is for new plantings, reseeding, and lawns deficient in phosphorus. So you work with that. Now I can tell you a little side story if you want to go in a tangent.
Go ahead, tell us a side
There was
story.
a meeting in Boston that I went to. First day was chemical people, second day organic. I went to both, I'm nosy. So there's a researcher from Cornell that was there, and he did a 3-year study on the Hudson River. They checked heavily fertilized lawns, ignored lawns, and the natural environment. What do you think put the most phosphorus into the waterway?
The headway one.
The natural environment put the most phosphorus into the waterway.
Wow.
The heavily fertilized lawns put the least amount because it helped hold the nutrients and the phosphorus in the soil to feed the plants.
Wow.
So I said to him, I says, and why are we doing this? True story.
Right.
It's because of the sewer treatment plants and the water treatment plants. But the government's not going to point at themselves and say, we were the problem.
Interesting.
So they point at in anybody else's
Direction
Yeah,
instead of pointing the fingers back.
yeah. Well, they don't want to spend the money to fix the problem, so they make everybody else go lighter and then that helps them not have as many problems.
Interesting.
The next day when the organic people came in, I didn't have a microphone in front of me. I said, "Where's my microphone?" They said, "You don't need one."
They're dangerous. All right.
The
Well,
other thing you haven't touched on is this
oh,
one right here.
oh yeah. Sorry about
Okay?
that.
This is the best yet biting insect repellent. It's cedar based. The smell of cedar to an insect is equivalent to the smell of ammonia to you or I.
Really?
But they don't like that. If you think back, your grandmother or great grandmother had the cedar chest.
Right?
Well, that kept the moths and insects from going into their wool clothing during the summertime and ruining their wool clothing. Same principle. Smell of cedar keeps them away.
There you go. There you go.
Yep.
Sal, it's been fantastic talking with you,
Pleasure.
letting you tell me all about the history and about the products, what they're good for. I know it's a couple products I'm going to be test driving at my job sites here in the present and the future. I look forward to doing business with you. And if a person wants to find out more about the Neptune Harvest line of products, what can they go?
Go to our website. There's a lot of good information there. YouTube videos and a lot of stuff like that.
I'll have a link.
Information.
I'll have a link so that people can be able to find out more about the company. So that way you don't have to be worried about where to go. For those viewers, like I mentioned, for you Yardie Nation folks down here or up there in Canada and down there in Australia, have at it. You got the product in your area of town. It's organic, it's natural. It's what people are doing. And if anything, man, you need to order some of this. This is the key right here, I think. This is the biggest find, this crab and lobster shell. Because being able to take care and not have ants and stuff in your garden, I would definitely put this on my buy list. The kelp, definitely the vegetable stuff, but it's up to you. So there you go. It's your landscaping coach. Hope you enjoyed that. Be sure to view, be sure to like it, be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit that notification bell because you never know when your boy may be in your part of town. See you in the next video.
I'll give you that. Don't take a picture of it.